Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kofi. My name is Kofi Simpson, and I'm the host of Coffee with Kofi. A few years ago, I recently spoke about a challenge that I had growing up in high school. And by me sharing that, a lot of people came out and spoke about the same challenge they had. And it made me realize that as men, sometimes we don't talk about the challenges we have. Or I can even go back and say as boys, the foundation as the male species, we sometimes don't talk about the challenges that we have in life. And this has led me to starting this podcast, Coffee with Kofi, which initially was going to be called We Are Breaking the Silence. Oh. Because we don't speak as men. And when we do, it becomes a bit tough. And the responses that we receive sometimes can be a bit challenging and negative specifically. We recently had our first episode with one of my closest friends, Samuel Mandebvu, who recently became a father and adopted. Found out a few years in his marriage that unfortunately he was azoospermic and was not able to conceive kids. So we talked about that journey. Now we are back here on episode 2, carrying on the conversation. Sam, welcome back to Coffee with Kofi. How are you doing today?
Good. Just a little tired, like I said earlier on, but otherwise good.
Okay.
What is the word for it? I'm paying the sins of having decided to indulge in a little bit of fun over and above my busy workload.
Oh, a little bit of fun, meaning you went out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chief, at the age of 40, yeah, you're strong.
At the age of 41.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 40 plus. Yeah,
40 plus,
I'm
yeah.
strong. But I think you're only strong as long as you last. I'm not lasting very well, so I'm clearly not very strong. But yeah, no, I'm sure I'll be recovered by end of day today because I need the energy for
Monday.
Yep.
Okay. No, I feel you. I can't. By like 8:10, I'm out and people can see. So I've become a bit more of a home boy in terms of that. But yeah, keep doing that.
No, I think you host more. I think the transition is you tend to have close friends over and do more braais and more, chilled kind of things than, because you don't need the lights and you're not seeking the things that typically are found by going out.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, and it wasn't even intentional; it was unintentional.
Those unplanned nights. Eh?
Mm-hmm, that's the worst, right? Like I wasn't even trying to go out. I just found myself outside, and I'm like, oh, I guess we're outside today.
Yeah, those unplanned nights sometimes can be the best, or sometimes can go haywire. Yeah, but Sam, I just want to let's recap on obviously the last conversation that we had. How are you specifically feeling watching that video and talking about this part of your life?
Relieved. I think for me, I wasn't necessarily worried that I would by how people receive it or anything like that. It was more of I hope I share my story in a manner that's respectful to all parties involved.
Okay, cool.
Because sometimes, with being candid, you can sometimes get carried away with your choice of words and, it might be offensive to one party or the other. So I was kind of relieved playing it back that way. I comported myself in a manner that I'd be proud of. So that was one. I think the other was surprised by the reaction from some of my close friends, specifically male friends, with regards to how open and candid I was. And I think somebody said it in a manner that I kind of giggled inside. In fact, it was a close female friend of mine who said, "You were you." And I said, well, yes, what else would you expect me to be, right? But I think to your point, a lot of my more meaningful conversations stemming from episode 1 were private conversations and not commentary on like the YouTube video itself. And I thought, again, it's a reflection of how uncomfortable we are with certain conversations. I mean, one thing that came up was the fact that I mentioned that I had to masturbate into a cup.
Yeah, when I watched that, I was like, but that's life, guys. That's life.
But here's the thing that I thought was funny. one of my old schoolmates, who's a good friend of mine, like would text me, and this is on WhatsApp, and he kind of chides me for it and says, "Oh, like, you kind of admitted on camera that you masturbate." I'm like, you should. It's healthy.
But that's a process of getting to the end result of what you needed to, and that's life.
Yeah, and even without the, like, let's just talk about sexual health.
Okay.
It's a normal, healthy thing to do, right? And there should be no shame attached to masturbation. And yet, the way he was framing it, I even asked him, I'm like, do you masturbate? And he's like,
yeah.
You see, I'm like, but my guy, like, honestly, the fact that you are putting it out in that context is unhealthy. And it's some of the things that hold us back.
I guess we live in a world now where, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this whole MacG podcast, but it talks about the reality of life and what we don't speak.
But then again, see, you look at that, I'm not going to name them per se because I don't particularly like their content at times, a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But I don't like that kind of openly speaking because it's very clickbaity. It's polarizing by the manner in which they present the information. And it's like, why do we need to have this polarizing or very clickbaity, tagline that I can take out and put out as my marketing material and make it popular and go viral on TikTok? It's not necessary.
Yeah, that's how people make money, but it's also the reality of it. But if I go back to, I'm going to read some of the comments that I saw.
Yeah.
The first one I'm going to start is your father.
Yeah. Oh,
You're a very special son. Help the world around you to be a better world. Sharing your journey to fatherhood. Very proud of you. Someone, what a candid conversation. Thank you for sharing, Sam. Good to see you and well done for creating this. Uncle Sam, we love you. There was So there was one proud to see you realize your dream, Kofi. You've been following your journey from Toastmasters. Only fitting to have Sam as your first guest. Proudly telling your own stories and looking forward to more episodes. So I like the feedback that we've gotten from there. But before we get straight into it and questions, I just want to give a foundation. So the theoretical foundation of this podcast is around this book.
all right.
There was a lady, Professor Shadia Jansen, who lectured me in varsity. I had a little bit of group therapy, and she's written a book on masculinity meets humanity, looking at it from the African perspective. Now, the preface of the book says, in a patriarchal society like South Africa, men are frequently portrayed as strong, invisible, and powerful. However, high rates of male-driven violence suggest that men may struggle with negative emotions. Chronic absence of fathers brought on by migrant labor practices, substance abuse and unemployment, among other causes, cause some of the resorts to violence as a coping mechanism. I don't think in society we are ready to discuss this. In this book, the author, clinical psychology, reflects on her psychotherapy experiences with male clients as she debunks the myth of male xenophobia, if I'm saying that right, which is the inability to recognize and express emotions. And I'm realizing that's one of the challenges that I have from a regulating of my emotions. Men are usually apparently disengaged from wellness practices as they are perceived to be reluctant to seek mental health. An Ubuntu-inspired personhood to closes of trust, empathy then transforms theoretical foundations and the clinical practice. Men group participants were the risk of being vulnerable. They supported each other's suffering during storytelling of abuse, loss of abandonment. So one of the things that that the author does here in her research have a lot of male group therapy sessions where men sit and discuss their challenges. Women are frequently the targets of gender-based violence, primarily committed by men, may play a significant role in the rehabilitation and the healing of men. Men are usually excluded from psychosocial interventions. This book makes the case that prioritizing well-being of boys and men is critical to creating a society that is safe for everyone, men, women, children, and the broader public. So that's the foundation of the podcast and how to go. And as we proceed, we'll bring in a few women to be part of the
I hope your
podcast.
first female is your former lecturer.
Yes, that was the initial plan in terms of how we're going to proceed, but she's in Cape Town.
Oh,
And I
to be
don't
virtual
like,
one.
yeah, I will get to the online thing. I like the in-person thing in terms of that.
I feel you.
Yeah, but Sam, let's go back to some of the questions that we spoke about. We spoke a little bit about your wife. I'm so happy she sent me a voice note today. This was great. You gave feedback and gave suggestions, and the comfortability around having this topic. As you said, you need to respect the boundaries of those around you. How did you guys meet?
Oh gosh, how did we meet? See, this is an interesting one because there's two versions, as I'm sure everyone's love meet story is like. So I had gone home. It was a December holiday. I'd gone home
To Zimbabwe.
To Zim, yeah. I was in Harare, and I was playing basketball at a community court with a friend of mine called Colin. Colin and I are neighborhood friends. We met. Gosh, I don't remember how we met, but we've known each other for a very long time, and so we're playing ball. I get a call. I answer said call. It is your cousin called Dudu, who goes on to inform me that, hey, I've got the perfect girl for you. Because she'd always say that, like, oh, you're a nice guy. You're gonna marry into my family one day.
Okay.
And
So you know Dudu as a
yes,
friend. Okay.
I knew Dudu through Colin. So she'd always said, oh, you're such a cool guy. You're gonna marry into my family. And this wasn't her first attempt hooking me up with one of her cousins, but anyway, she calls me up and says, yo, I've got someone you should meet. And then I'm like, dude, I'm tired. I'm playing ball right now and I'm not interested.
Okay.
And then she's like, no, you really should meet this chick. Just meet her. I'm like, okay. But if we're going to do this, it has to be neutral. Like it can't be, obvious that we're set up for a date. Okay. I tell Colin we finish our game, we go home, shower, we get it. I go pick him up. We'll drive to Dudu's place. We get there and we decide that we're going very close, like maybe about 5 kilometers or 3 miles to the Americans from where we were is where we're gonna go have dinner. And so it was at a pub called O'Hagan's. Okay. So we get in, we decide because the roads in Zim at that point in time had lots of potholes, we decided to get in her car, in yours car, because she was driving like a crossover as an SUV. So obviously it in theory should have handled the potholes better. Okay. Turns out this girl's driving straight on Zim roads. Like, who told her? Who paid her off to do that? So I'm complaining.
So she was driving on the potholes, not trying to.
Yeah, she's driving through, straight through. And I'm like, so I jokingly say to the cousin, like, yo, like in Shona, tell your cousin to drive like a normal person. Like, who is she? She's trying to kill us here. And she obviously heard, she understood Shona, so she heard me. And she's like, I can hear you. Just
break context. When you're saying she understands Shona, she's Zimbabwean.
Yeah, she's Zimbabwean, but grew up in London, basically. Okay, cool. So we go for dinner. Dinner's great. Sat across from her. Energy was good, but nothing much to it. Like just chill, bands, nice time. We get back, get in my car, we drive out the gate. As we're driving out the gate, Colin turns to me and says, I think I found the girl. She's into me. I'm like, my guy, she's not into you. She's into me. So he's like, nope, there's no way. She's into me. I'm like, my guy, she is not into you. She's into me. But we're not going to argue about it. Shoot your shot. When you flunk out, holler. Because I know she's into me. She's not into you. So I knew she was into me. Colin wasn't sure of this. He was convinced otherwise. I said, cool. So for the next year or so, he tried his best because she went back to the UK. They were chatting, I think, on back then, must have been Facebook and I don't know what other messaging app, but this was before.
It was like
Instagram.
Mixer time.
Mixer, exactly. Yeah. This was Mixer. But Mixer was popular here and not necessarily globally. But anyway, I would get little dribs and drabs of updates because I was also
Colin.
From her as well, from both parties, because obviously, like, I was also talking to her, but like very minimally, and because I didn't want to be intrusive in whatever Colin was doing, so I was just lying in the winds. And the next year, she decides to come home in December again. And I think she informs him this. And then he's like, I want to introduce you to my mother, to her. Colin says this to Yo. And Yo's like, nah, we're going too far, too fast. Like, relax. And so she tells him that, yeah, no, I don't see you as anything more than a friend. And she told me that she told him before he could get around to come to tell me. And he actually, to be fair to him, he came to me to inform me that, yo, my guy, like, yeah, I crashed and burned. And I teased him on the day because I was like, I already know. Because I think I took the opportunity right there and then when he said, when she told me that, yeah, like, so I just told your friend, like, it's not going to happen. I was like, well, in that case, would you like to go on a date?
Okay.
And she's like, sure. So I was like, I know exactly where to take you. It'll be a surprise. I wouldn't tell her. So she loved monkeys. And there is animal park about 30 minutes drive from Marai in Zim. And so we went there for our first date, had a lovely time. She got to hold a lion cub as opposed to a monkey. Later on found out that she doesn't like monkeys that much. They crap everywhere and they're quite vicious. So I think her love for monkeys has changed. I think at some point her handle was I love monkeys.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah, on some social media platforms. But nonetheless, she got hold of the lion, and I think there's a picture that we took where it was just the two of us. I think somebody else took it off us, and then there was another picture with her holding a lion. And then she posted like a collection of pictures, and I think on one of the pictures, when she was holding the lion, she said, "My pet lion." And then people were now referencing that quote to my pet lion, to the picture of the two of us, and going, okay, which one's your pet lion? Referring to me. And I guess by then already, of course, I had a beard. So, you know, you could kind of make the reference or inference to lion and myself with the beard. But yeah, that was our first date, went swimmingly. And that was the beginning of our love story. And at some point down the line, we kind of... For me, I struggled at first with the whole distance thing because I was just like, wow, how does this work?
Yeah.
You're a pen pal to me, right?
Yeah.
And I think I literally said that very line to do the first time she mentioned when she said, I've got someone you should meet. I said, where does she live? And then she said, in the UK. I said, in the United Kingdom. I'm sorry, that's thousands of kilometers away from me. Like, what's the point of that? Like, I don't need a pen pal. I think I literally said I don't need a pen pal. And eventually, maybe about a year down the line, she decided she came home again. We met again in December. At that point, we weren't dating. We were talking, but we're talking with we were skirting around the conversations of like, you know, what this could be. And she came home. I had bought a vehicle, and because I was planning on driving back in Jan, I mentioned it to the cousin to say, hey, I'm going to drive back. And then we thought, oh, maybe it's a great idea that we do a road trip off it. So basically, her cousin, her and me jumped in my car and we drove back down all the way down to Cape Town.
Okay.
So no, it was an opportunity to truly get to know each other because, you know, you're stuck in a confined space for what, 30 hours or so.
Yo,
So-
the strength, hey.
So
Clearly
yeah,
this lady left you 30 hours in a car, but anyway, or she liked to venture, but carry on.
oh, she didn't love me then, but she does now. So yeah, we did that. Picked up another friend of mine that you know, Godfrey. Here, drove down, and I think I pretty much went back to work the next day.
Okay.
I was already working at that point, so I now had to balance work and Nigel was more available, so he took them around and showed them around and stuff whilst I was working. Then we'd get together like in the evenings and weekends and stuff. And I think that trip was the trip that solidified our relationship. And I was still struggling with the whole distance thing. Even after she left, I think I wrote a sourish email going, hey, I don't know, I'm conflicted, I'm confused. I don't know what to do with this because I like you, but like you live all the way there. And eventually she decided to move to Zim. And I was like, she ain't moving to Zim, really. This is a proxy move. She's eventually going to move here. And so, yeah, so that kind of led to her moving to Zim, but largely spending a lot of her time here.
Okay.
She literally used to take the bus like once a month. Pick up.
Were you in Cape Town then?
No. Then I was in
Joburg.
Joburg. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd moved to Joburg by then, and so I'd pick her up in Pretoria, and I used to see her every month for an extended period, maybe like a week or so, and then I think eventually we just just moved to Joburg. In fact, she was like, "How would you feel about me moving in with you?" And I was just like, "What else could I say? Really? Can I say no?
Okay.
Can't really say no." I knew this was coming either way. Like I think I'd mentally prepared for this day to come.
Okay.
And that's how we moved in together, and that was it. We never moved out.
Was there any? I guess it happens on both sides. Sometimes you got to take the leap of faith. One of my friends says like bring it closer. Shorten the distance.
Yeah.
But from your side, hesitation around. I mean, it's a big thing. Someone essentially uprooting their lives. Did it create any anxiety on your side?
Oh yeah, no. Like I remember before she moved in with me, I said to her, "I need you to know that you're coming to a life of struggle."
Oh, okay.
Because I had to be extremely financially vulnerable because I was earning maybe I was earning 5,000 rand at that point in time, and I think my rent was like 3,000 rand, 2,000 rand. So basically half my money went towards rent at that point in time.
Okay.
And I was basically just grimping off the balance.
Okay.
And so I told her that, hey, if you move in with me, I need you to know you're not going to be living a life of luxury. I do not have 2 pennies to rub together.
Okay.
But we'll make it work. Okay. We did. We made it work. She bought a scooter when she moved.
Scooter,
yep. Yeah, Tilly, I think is what she called it. She rode Tilly for a while as she used to commute to Sandton for work. And we used to, one of our traditions earlier on was we would look for brown coins, like your 5 cent, 50 cent, your 10 cent coins.
Okay.
Would put those together to raise enough money to go buy a soft cone ice cream from Northgate McDonald's.
Serious?
Yeah.
How old were you at this point? Do you remember? 25, 24 or?
Yeah, thereabout. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
25, thereabout. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't realize the choices you make, the impact that they'd have. I was staying in a 1-bedroom apartment, but it was a double volume ceiling. So that open air expanse made it feel bigger, but it also made it way colder in winter. So I remember there were some hard knock moments, but we weather the storms, and we always look back at that. And I think it's one of the things that for us made it work, or made our growth a shared thing, was we started from the bottom together, right? Like it wasn't a thing where one is established and then finds somebody and quote unquote saves them economically. We kind of built our lives together.
And I guess maybe times have changed, and I must say in the dating sphere and the things that I'm seeing, even from myself, it's balancing that financial thing and understanding and struggling. And the phase that I'm in is I'm trying to take a different direction and I'm building. Therefore, I don't have the luxury for certain things. And to find someone who kind of understands to say, but like you have a bigger picture, let's take it easy. There's a bigger picture, and I'm even struggling on the bigger picture. But this is the avenue that I want to go to, And even a friend was like, okay, you don't have money to date, then don't date. But like...
is that, yeah, but like I struggle with that mindset, right? So I feel these are natural, what's the word for it? Sifting mechanisms.
Okay.
I think it's perfectly fine if you come across women who are looking for financial stability from you. Look, that's the thing, right? Like personally, I think I might have mentioned it in the first episode that I'm a very traditional guy, and my views on provision and unions and marriage are kind of traditional. Not kind of, they're definitely traditional, right? I believe a husband should be a provider, protector, all of those quintessential typical things. But at the same time, I'm also a firm believer in a good partner, a good woman should understand and appreciate the vision. You don't, and my wife always says it, I married potential. Because of course I had nothing to offer her when we met, right? Yeah. And so she had to look at what I was doing and my thought frame and understand and appreciate, is this guy motivated, and is this guy trying to get somewhere in his life? Because if I was a woman, I wouldn't want to hitch my wagon to somebody where they're not going anywhere with their lives, right? And so if someone's not willing to have that forward thinking outlook, they're just not the person you should be with. I've seen people where their partners are more interested in holidays and et cetera, and yet the other party is like, yeah, but we're trying to build towards something bigger, failing to realize that foregoing a holiday now could mean a much bigger holiday down the line. But yeah, I think that's the challenge you face nowadays, that you get a lot of interesting views and opinions when it comes to a man's responsibilities and roles in dating and what that should look like. And I cringe every time I hear people talk about, I wouldn't date somebody where they would take me out on a KFC date. And I'm like,
but you eat KFC on a day-to-day basis, right?
Like, never mind that you eat KFC on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't define me. It shouldn't define me. Not define and the thing is, right, what are we doing? Is the date about the ambience or the opportunity to get to know each other better? And we should, and I think I should take you out to a fine dining experience. I should take you out to KFC, because every interaction and every environment should allow for me to see how you operate in all those spaces. And so if you're going to tell me, if you're going to write me off because I take you to KFC, then great.
You're not the right person.
You're not the right person for me, right? So as much as it sucks, and I'm sure that journey isn't easy finding the person, and I guess it's harder nowadays, because even for the women, there's all these views and all these voices chirping, telling them what they should expect from a man, and I don't know if it's working out. Honestly, I find it sad that we're in a society where there's this misalignment between what a man should do and versus what a woman should do as well. Because it's like,
you hear more. For me, I hear more on that side than
oh no, wait, I don't think we're at a time in this society in particular where the conversation is safe, if I should put it that way, to speak about what a woman is expected to do. Because I mean, you look at gender-based violence, and even what you read on the back of your book, and you said, I don't think this society is ready for that conversation. I think it's important that even if there's dissent and there's difference in opinions, it should be safe for one to say that, hey, South Africa in particular is a unique, I think every country is going to be unique, and it's going to have its own facets of its societal outcomes based on its history.
Okay.
And it's quite interesting that this person who's a professional attributes the impact of apartheid with the separation of families, with fathers having to go somewhere else to work in the mines, and creating of these homesteads where the mothers would stay and raise the children. The impact of that still lives on today, right? And we talk about that because we typically, when I say we, I mean foreign nationals residing in South Africa. We talk about that, and we see the difference within the rest of the continent and South Africa in that regard, right? Okay. If you look at it, at least from where I'm coming from and where some of my friends, when we've talked about this, is to say, you look at the fact that a lot of us come from two-family households, two-parent households, and that's not to say that our parentage is perfect, but the presence of two parties in that household definitely made a difference. And you see the impact of the absence of that in our South African counterparts for some of these people. And it's interesting that even when I look at my South African friends, they predominantly come from two-parent households. And so it's like, it's not a mistake. It's not a coincidence that we gravitate and share similar values and we share similar outlooks. And abuse, abuse comes in many forms. But at least the physical kind within my society is just unheard of. I can't imagine anyone I know ever having laid a hand on anybody, male or female.
And as much as this is the same thing as this probably is, but the same thing as now the society that we live in, because now people are speaking about it, we can say we don't know, but there's probably a lot that's happening. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, Karen.
There's a lot that's happening, but I would wager the magnitude within within the two parentage households is a lot less than the single parentage household. And I joke about, I think I said this with my wife the other day. I was like, men express their rage on the roads because that's one of the few places they feel like they have an outlet to do so, right? And it's one of those things that because I don't I laugh most of the times when people get worked up about the fact that they got cut off in a lane or something silly like that. And I'm like, it's really not that deep. But people get really worked up about it. And it's predominantly men. And a lot of that road rage is because they don't, and they end up shooting each other. And I'm always like, you don't know the other person's crazy. You think you're crazy, but what if they stop their car and get out and shoot you for something so stupid as they cut you off, and you couldn't accept that as a man.
Yeah, and how we regulate. But I mean, I want to go back again. Your wife, you guys met, started building this thing together.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about the whole process of conceiving and having a child at this point. But from my understanding, now your wife is, as you say in your words, a kept woman.
Yes.
Okay, so you found a woman who went over the seas to go study a degree, to come to Africa and to
sit on
home.
it. Yeah.
How does that? Why did you guys go that direction, and how does that work?
One, I'd always wanted to provide and take care of my family, and so that was always part of what drove me to be able to do that, right? To be able to financially provide. And also, I think the impact of it took a lot out of her. Like I saw, like the emotional toll it had on her to dealing with bosses and and hostile work environments. And because I've been privileged to largely work remotely for a lot of my career, in fact, 95% of my career, I've worked remotely. So I've never really had to deal with office politics, but I got a window of that through my wife, and that peering through that window wasn't pretty, and it drove me to. In fact, I started planning financially to expedite her not having to work. If I can get to the point where I can completely supplement her income, then I can broach the subject and say, "Hey, I've done the books. You don't need to put up with this anymore.
Okay.
You don't need to deal with all this. I want you to be happy. And so I'd rather you sit at home and do whatever makes you happy and explore whatever you want to do. You don't have to sit at home forever, but you can
have that choice.
You have the choice. Yeah, you have the opportunity to exercise the choice, right? And so that was the journey, and how we ended up doing it was effectively, I worked at that. I worked at building the financial resilience to do that, and also I think on the other side was we were very religious about, because like I said, we used to buy soft cone ice cream as a form of luxury, and so having come from not having money to that extent, even when we started making money, we kept a very low allowance that we both had. We
change our cost of living.
Yeah, we didn't change our cost of living. We kept it very modest, and because we kept it very modest and low, it gave us a lot more room. Our commitments on a month to month were low.
Okay,
so it made it easier for me to be like, hey, you know what, I can easily meet our financial commitments, and we will still live the same quality of life. So that helped a lot, and I think her last job, they let her go because they're doing retrenchments because they're downsizing, and it just coincidentally worked out beautifully because it wasn't even like it was a no-brainer. It was oh, okay, great. Well, this conversation we've been toying around with, let's just put it to action.
Okay.
And I think for me, one of the conversations we had prior to us putting it to action was, I know of female friends who would love to exercise the same choice, but they're afraid of their partners using money as a weapon, right? And so I had to have that conversation to say, hey, if ever you feel like, dare say, my money, my anything, you need to call me out on that, because that's not okay, right? And you should never feel like, I don't want there to be a future where there is ambiguity about where our money is going and what's going on with our money. So because we would always played it very open cards from day one financially, it was easy to just keep that practice. So it was just a case of saying, hey, you know what, this is how we're going to do this, and we always keep financials transparent. Our allowances are identical even to this day. So my allowance for a month to month is exactly the same as her allowance on a month to month. It doesn't matter that I'm the only one, quote unquote, earning the money. I think there's a gross underappreciation of the other aspects of that make life work. Even for me, right? I mean, if you think about it, I don't have to worry about everything else. I just have to worry about making sure that I go to work, I bring the money, and I'm emotionally present, I'm physically present. I do the things that I feel like add value, right? And I don't undermine or appreciate the value that my wife brings, because none of this would be possible without her doing what she does.
So a supportive aspect and understanding your roles.
Yeah.
And I don't want to use the word gender role specifically, but I'm just saying understanding your roles, what you need to do, and how.
Yeah, and they're fluid, right? Yeah, I feel like that's one of the worst things that's happened in this day and age. That there seems to be these cookie cutter roles that we try to force men into this box, this square peg, and women into this round hole. And it's like, but I don't necessarily believe that it should be like that, right? We're equal but not the same. Like, we always, like, my wife always says, I will not lift things when there are men around me. She's told you that as well. She'll make you go pick up stuff, because we are equal, but upper body strength is something we are anatomically designed to have more than women. So the heavy lifting naturally comes to me. And so there are things like, now that we are parents, I can see the emotional aspect of it really come into play, and the strength that she brings to the table in terms of navigating some of the emotional dynamics with my daughter. And like, sometimes when she's having a tantrum and she'll be the one to temper me, I'm like, no, you know what, maybe let her have that temper tantrum. I don't believe this thing of, you're tougher, quote unquote, on your male child. I believe in, you need to allow one for natural and healthy normalization. You can't always get what you want. There has to be a degree of no that you need to get comfortable with. And with time, when she grows, I intend to give her the same value system that I'd give a male child. When we adopt our boy, they will be raised the same kind of thing.
Our author here, Dr. Sharia Johnson, said, you are a Mitch of a guy. Obviously complimenting the type of person that you are. So just highlighting that, as you said, is that...
Oh yeah, I remember I asked that. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, the definition is there, but won't go into just in the interest of time.
Yeah.
But so just highlighting that one of the key things that you obviously said is like, okay, let's understand the context of the world society that we live in, right? Where women struggled a lot because sometimes men use money as a way of power to hold, right? Where, dynamic, you are kind of unhappy, you want to leave it, but then therefore money is the way that you stay in that dynamic. Because if you leave that dynamic, then who's going to take, because as men, we have choices that will say, okay, we're not going to take care of our child. Therefore, women were taught, or the society that I came from, study so you're not dependent on A, B, C, and D. So you're saying that within your guys' dynamic, you decide to say that, hey, listen, finance is equal. It's not my money. It's not your money. We're doing this together. And do not allow me to use, quote unquote word, money as a tool,
as a weapon,
as a weapon specifically.
What's a weaponize?
Yeah, weaponize. So as a financial principle, you guys obviously agree on the things that you're going to purchase on. You make sure that things are as equal as humanly possible, because this world is not 50-50.
No.
And all those kind of things. Okay, and that's how you guys manage.
Yeah, and I don't believe any union should ever be 50-50. If you're trying to aim for 50-50, then you've got it all wrong. I think the standing adage is that you try to do more than you get, right? Because by doing that, if you're both racing to the top, then you will never feel like you're underserved. Okay. Because we're both at service to each other, right? And just in different ways. So
yeah, people have very different views on that, eh? I hear you. Some people are like, and I remember one of my sister-in-law said, like, no gender is more superior than the other, right?
Yeah.
But our historic father's gender, it's the woman is off service.
Yeah.
And now this society that we're living in, the changing of the guard or whatever, it seems to be the other way. And there isn't a lot of like, let's just have partnerships and understand our strengths and weaknesses.
That's the thing that I feel like I struggle with. Yeah. Like when I'm looking in on society from the outside, basically, because I remember when we were very open about our defined roles in our marriage, there were some women who looked at my wife and thought she must be miserable and that, you know, she must live in a cave era and all these things. And yet, ironically, I'm pretty sure some of those women now look at her and go, wow, okay, I want that. And it's like, there's no, I don't know why. Like, personally, if I was a woman and I had the opportunity and choice to not have to do the hard stuff, in the sense of the dealing with society in that context, why would I? Why not swim down the river as opposed to up the river?
Okay. There's this lovely phrase that you've said, and I'm trying to take it in, and I've given a speech on this, right?
Okay.
Part of a speech, there's no formula to life, right? And within that, I talk about, there's a couple that I know that believe about sticking within their strength and weaknesses. So to close off, can you just tell us more about what does that mean for you guys around strength and weaknesses within the dynamic?
Oh, okay, that's easy. I think strengths for me, big and small, right? Like, it doesn't have to be rocket science stuff. I think we have to remind ourselves sometimes that, hey, let's play to our strengths.
Okay.
If we're gonna go out for dinner, my wife is by far the better person to choose where we're gonna go for a meal.
Okay.
By a million miles, right? If we're gonna plan a holiday, I'm the better person to do that.
Okay.
I'm definitely the better person to get down to, like, I would tell you that, like, if we're gonna go to France, we will end up on this train from the airport. We're taking this tube at this time, and we're gonna get from the green line to the blue line. We'll get off at this station. That's me. I'm detail oriented. So it's, again, playing to our strengths. Okay. It's identifying your natural aptitudes and going, okay, you're better at me than this. And there's no shame in saying, hey, you know what? This is not my strength. This is you.
Okay.
Like, you do this better than me. So go forth and conquer, and we all benefit.
Okay. Yeah. And now diving more is, apart from strengths, now there's preferences. What I like and what I don't like. Does that come in with that dynamic of strength and weaknesses? Because sometimes you enjoy doing things.
Doesn't mean you're necessarily good at them.
Yes, yeah.
We've thankfully not had challenges in that regard. But, like, I would imagine that were we to have that, the best approach would be just to indulge the other. Okay. And create the necessary reinforcements around their inaptitude in that regard.
Okay, cool. I said the last question. I want to add one more now. Parental styles, right? And apart from the preference, because you have someone who grew up in Africa and someone who grew up in Europe. Yeah. Therefore, the way people see the world may be different or similar. Therefore, I'm assuming there may be differences even from as a male perspective. And how do you guys, like, navigate the parental style?
Yes, I think that's one area that we've had to learn to navigate, because obviously parenting is the latest chapter in our lives, right? And I think I stand on correction, but I think we've figured it out in the sense of we agree that we have differences in approach.
Okay.
And I think what has helped is they needed to be a confluence in understanding and appreciation. And funny enough, you say that, her having grown up in the UK and me having grown up here, the actual parenting or the principles are the same because we share the same values, right? And so ultimately we're largely parented in similar fashions. Just maybe differences maybe like in disciplining and stuff like that. Like corporal punishment wasn't a thing in her household, it was a thing in mine. And
you I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying that the difference about I believe in corporate punishment and that.
Yeah, like I was a strong proponent for it until I kind of went through my own a therapeutic journey and realized the shortfalls of some of the disciplining that I got. I'm like, okay, maybe not do that, right? But again, at the same time, having the grace to appreciate that my parents did the best they could within the context that they're coming from, and they're human beings, right? I think that's one of the things that growing up kind of, if you're fortunate enough, you end up reflecting on your own parents, and you have a lot more grace as you become a parent for them, because you start to understand that, you know what, their parenting style was informed on how they were parented, and also some of the frustrations that may have leaked through in that parenting style stemmed from their own traumas. And so there are those unresolved traumas that they, even to this day, may need to resolve in order to even show up as better parents, even to me as an adult child, right? And so I think I'm grateful that I went through that journey to start the journey of healing myself so that I could show up as a better parent. And I think because both of us are showing up as the best versions of ourselves, we find that there's less differences and more commonalities in terms of how we approach things. I think I'm still a typical guy in the sense of I may be rougher on the edges than my wife is, but at the same time, we don't necessarily fight about it. We just agree to disagree, and just sometimes it's like I don't agree with that, but okay, not me handling that situation, so let her handle it the way she sees fit. And even when I'm sure there are times when she's biting her tongue and she wants to come in, and there are times when my daughter will be screaming and crying, and I think I'm more impervious to her screaming and crying. And so I will like let her, I'm a firm believer in, like, you know what, I will give you the platform to express your feelings, and I don't want you to not emotionally express, right? I want you to have that full arc of expression, and I want you to know that I'm a safe space for you to do it. But at the same time, I'm not gonna be the person who eggs you on to continue to cry for an hour. I'm gonna let you cry it out, and at some point I'm gonna like, okay, I think it's time for us to stop now. Okay, let's start breathing through this. Like literally, like me and my daughter have breathing exercise routine where like she'll start crying and I'm like, okay, when I think it's time for her to stop, I'll be like, okay, let's breathe in now. Like, and she catches on, because you can't cry and breathe in at the same time, hold your breath. So it kind of defeats the crying, and it distracts her, and then she gets into a breathing exercise, and we're good.
Okay, interesting. I have learned a lot. I hope we've taken bits and pieces in order to navigate this complex thing called life.
Yeah.
It's not simple. Even one of my colleagues was like, hey, I thought I was a planner, but the spreadsheet of yours.
Oh.
And I had a colleague who's saying that, she doesn't believe in this thing of, I want to be a wife, I want this, and I was also like, but sometimes don't you need direction in life and plan and those kind of things? But it's also like there's a lot of stuff in life we cannot control.
Yeah.
And we just also need to go to a certain degree, just navigate and see how things go. But thank you very much, Sam, for agreeing to be part of this. Obviously, thank you to your wife and your daughter, that you've obviously been able to share your story. We'll put out more around these feelers, and I think you've made this very easy for me in my head of planning for 2 years. How does this work out? What do I do? But sometimes in life, you just gotta
Do it.
do it and start and navigate around that. So thank you very much for being part of this journey that I'm about to embark to.
No, man, this has been a pleasure, and I look forward to your successes. And I think what you're doing is amazing. I'm proud of you for not just this, for all your other ventures that you're busy doing. And I know I've talked about this privately, but also I think it's important for me to put this out there that, hey, man, this is another thing we never do as guys. We never celebrate each other's successes in the meaningful ways, right? And if we do, it's a very private, like, yo, Mike, you're doing great, or if ever that, right? And so in a platform like this, I am very, very, very impressed with what you're doing. And you encourage me to keep daring to, do and live out my dreams. And so keep pushing me.
Chief, I went to your house. When I saw your house, I was like, hey, Chief, I need to do a little bit more.
But like,
no, but and the most amazing thing is we're not competing, right?
Exactly, right.
So
and I love that.
I saw your success.
Yeah.
Your success made me realize that no, something is not balancing.
Yeah.
And the most amazing thing for me is I have someone like you to lean on. One of the things I'm saying, this guy is saying, hey, let me help you with your Airbnb. So busy, but he wants to be able to help, and that means a lot. But I'm just saying that also your success, don't take that, negate that. But your success is also seeing what you are doing and realizing that, hey, listen, we can do better. And this is for me also the platform that allows us to also see what other people are doing, things about struggling and normalizing. But I'm going to call myself out. This is one time, for some strange reason, I like buying these African print bags from Ghana.
Yeah.
This is one time I got one, and I know you're going to say me and my wife are one. Please, I understand that. But why am I now giving your wife a gift and not giving you a gift? And I think that sometimes, like, as you're saying, the small things about, hey, listen, cool, dude, I was in a shop, you told me about this. Okay, let me buy you this PlayStation. I saw these sneakers. Like, we don't do this. And in me, when I was coming here, I realized that, like, some men are going through struggles financially, right?
Yeah.
And for me to even be able to say, hey, listen, let me help you with your rent for 3 months. That's not a normalized thing. But I have the money to go spend money on a random woman who's not adding value to my life. But the person who I speak to regularly, the person who I'm there, needs to suffer in silence and feel that, hey, listen, like, I need money. Who can I speak to? Yes, I've lost my job, and that's part of life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that's the worst part is I think money and men, we have a very weird relationship with it, right? Like, asking for help financially for us is just taboo. And I also feel like, fine, we're part of the problem. We don't handle lending very well.
Yeah.
I think we don't make it a safe space. We talk about safe spaces a lot in this day and age. I think one of the problems is if I lend you money and then tomorrow I'm busy calling you out as we're drinking that, hey, don't overdo it because you owe me money. Things like that make it difficult for you to come back and borrow money from me in the future. And so it's how we interact with each other as a result of these things that either make or break us.
Yeah. I know we've been trying to say bye for quite some time, but unfortunately, we need
long format.
Hey,
2 hours next time.
2 hours next time. But yeah, thank you, Sam, once again. Yeah. And we'll chat with one last episode. And I think.
All right. Awesome. Thanks. Cheers.